All right, all right, all right. Hey guys, I want to say good afternoon from me and Chris. We've got another Fit Dads live stream today, guys. And today we are going over a very, very hot topic when it comes to the Halloween season because we all like to indulge in our candy. There's no harm in just kind of eating it in moderation. But what we're going over today is sugar free. Sugar free. Is it really sweet and innocent as you think? I don't know. But today, Chris and I wanted to go over the pros and cons of the sugar-free side of things, and just to see
Should have
if
made
it's better
this
for
the
you just to go ahead
thumbnail.
and eat sugar.
Should
as,
have made
as,
that the thumbnail.
as you see Chris flipping off Sweet and Love. So that might ought to tell you kind of where he's leaning. So let's get into it, man. Chris, what are you thinking about this, man? Just start us off. Let's get into the pros and cons. How do you feel about the sugar-free side of things?
Um, I used to like absolutely loathe any kind of artificial sweeteners. Um, I've worked in restaurants for a lot of years, so we always had to keep them on hand. I've tried about every one there is to try, from the most expensive to the least expensive, and I never liked them. I never liked the taste. They had like a weird aftertaste. Um, But actually, Coach Greg got me to give them another try because over time, you know, your taste buds change. For anybody that doesn't know that, your taste buds are always changing. It's not just when you go from being a kid to an adult, they change over time as you're an adult as well. So I gave Sweet and Low another try, and I throw it in my coffee. I'll throw like one in, and then I still use regular sugar to try to, you know, reduce any kind of aftertaste.
Yeah,
And I find it's not terrible. I don't think it's, you know, uh, a great idea to just rely on that as your only, you know, any kind of sweets, like
right.
only eating artificial sweetened candy, only eating or only using artificial sweeteners in your coffee, for instance, or things to that nature. I think it's basically like most things, best used in moderation, if at all.
Right, right. So, I would agree. The thing is, I think the key word I take away from what you just said is moderation. I mean, you said a whole lot and described a whole lot, but guys, the bottom line is moderation, and that's on anything. But today I wanted to go through the pros and cons because there are certainly pros to indulging in the sugar-free stuff, and there is definitely some significant cons. And I think as Chris and I were talking very briefly before we started the show, he's even got some articles pulled up and some studies done on some of the artificial sweeteners that he'd probably like to go over with us today to kind of give you an education on what I guess what these could do to the body long term. I just want to make it clear that I'm trying to go from a pros and cons standpoint. Chris and I are, and because we're trying to be as level headed as possible. We're not going to dog sugar free stuff out. We're also not going to just shamelessly promote it because we know that there's some downfalls as well. The thing is what I want everybody to understand is that sugar free it doesn't mean consequence free, as with anything else that a person can consume. What
Hold,
you got,
hold,
Chris?
hold up, bro. Who is this scammer in your chat here? They need to be gone.
Oh yeah,
Do
what's
you
going
see
on here?
that?
Yeah,
That's
I see
just, man, we're not children in here, scammer. Go find somebody else.
that. Yeah,
We
they're
both
out.
have women, you know. We don't need your little online
Yeah.
scams.
Yeah, we don't need that trash. Anyway, let's get back to the show. I've already got them blocked, man. So the thing is,
Good.
guys, we're looking at sugar free, not consequence free, right? We want to be able to go through all the pros as well as the cons, because there are some consequences to overindulging, even in the sugar free side of things. You think, I'm kicking sugar out of my diet, so I must be doing good at all times, and that's not the case. A solid pro for the sugar free stuff is that it tend to have fewer calories. Doesn't mean it's calorie free, but it tends to have fewer calories. And so I think the pitfall there, Chris, is that when you think you're eating sugar free, you're forgetting that it's not calorie free. So you think you can overindulge, and therefore you just go nuts on your sugar free candy or whatever it may be, and then you've just taken in a mountain of calories that you wouldn't have otherwise if you just grabbed a piece of a candy bar or something. What do you think about that?
Well, no, that's an excellent point. Another thing, actually, Coach Greg did a video on this as well. Something about the FDA standards or whatever on the nutrition labels.
Yeah,
If they can alter their serving size amounts to that which the amount of calories per serving lands under 10 calories per serving, they're allowed to mark it as zero. And that's how they get you with those cooking sprays. They
yeah,
say one serving, and it says 0 calories per serving when it's actually probably more like 6. And if you
gotcha.
look at the serving size, like one regular size can actually has like 5,000 servings in it. So it's like just real quick, you know. So
Yeah,
if you go for a 3 second or 5 second spray, you just loaded like probably 200 or 300 calories, and you
yeah,
think it's calorie free. So the same effect can be had with these artificial sweeteners. Anything with that nutrition standard on it, that nutrition label, is going to be subject to that same standard. And that's in
absolutely.
Canada as well as the US. I'm not sure about, elsewhere, but I would assume so.
So it's something to pay attention to. Another thing that you brought up, Chris, earlier was, as I have here listed as a con, is it doesn't taste the same as the real thing. And in some regards, that could be bad, could be good. It depends on what you're going into and what you're expecting. Now, we know that these substitute sweeteners oftentimes taste uh, much more different than just regular, run of the mill sugar. So actually, some of us like the taste of the sugar substitutes, but you have to be prepared for it because it can taste pretty gross, honestly. Like you held up sweet and low a second ago. I joke with my wife. I call that sweet and sour. That crap is terrible. It tastes terrible to me. So it's a waste of my time to put it in my tea or whatever it may be that I want to sweeten because it actually makes it worse. So I stay away from it because I don't like that substitute flavor. So what do you think on that being a con, man? Is that something you feel like should be on the cons list? Is the fact that it tastes different?
Well, absolutely. Sweet and low is like the only one I can tolerate. I've tried Splenda, Stevia, everyone you can think of, even those freaking ones that are, you got a box like a quarter this size and they can charge like $30 for it.
Yeah,
Tried those. Yeah, dude, I don't like
nothing
them.
really.
I find them best with mixed with a little bit of, pure cane sugar, regular
Yeah,
sugar. That kind of offsets that weird taste for me. But yeah, sweet and low is like the only one that I was able to, find a mixture of the two that allowed me to take in less sugar while,
hmm,
still enjoying a couple cups of coffee in the morning or
sure.
however as far as the candies go, I feel like those nutrition labels on those can be so misleading. My
Yeah,
grandma is a diabetic, so she would always, I mean, any candy she would have in her house, always kind of sugar free. And we're talking like back in the 90s when I'm growing up. So they were still trying to figure out how to make those actually taste like candy rather than chalk.
right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I remember the just, man, I never wanted to eat candy at her house because it was just always off putting.
That's interesting, man. I mean, I find it interesting how just two dudes here on a stream here can have totally different, I guess, opinions on the substitute sweeteners, not the overall health concerns about them, but just the taste. Because you say you like sweet and low, and man, I cannot stand that crap. And then you say you can't deal with the Splenda, and it doesn't bother me. So it's just quite interesting, and that just I think really kind of highlights what I was saying as a con. It's like it doesn't taste the same as the real thing. So you have to kind of test them around and see what flavor you like Chris has done and like I've done as well. Another pro is that I've
Look
got
at
on the
this.
list here. Oh man, don't show that nasty stuff.
No, look at it. 0 calorie sweetener.
Yeah, I got you.
No, it said somewhere else on the box. Each serving contains up to 4 cal. Yeah, it says right there. Where it? Gosh,
Yeah.
I have my camera reversed, so it's like throwing me off. Each
Oh, poor
serving
guy.
contains less than 4 calories, which the
Yeah.
FDA considers dietically
Yeah.
zero.
dietically or whatever, however they want to say that word.
We'll call it dietically. I think that sounds more
That sounds
smooth,
more astute.
suave.
Yeah. So moving along though onto another pro though, I want to go down this list is it helps manage blood sugar. Now, of course, when you're talking about blood sugar management, and you're usually talking about diabetes, so therefore you're usually already talking about the fact that you have an issue with sugar itself, whether you are type 1 or type 2 diabetes. Now, type 1, of course, that's just genetic. You're born with that. That's something that's hereditary. And then your type 2 is like you have, in some form or fashion, brought that on due to your sugar intake throughout your life. So, eating something as a sugar substitute could help manage that blood sugar level, but it also you also still can't overindulge because then it goes back to the whole calories thing. So everything is about moderation, Chris. I mean, I think you would agree. So what do you think about that particular pro? You think that's a good thing to put on a pros list or is that misleading to say that it's a pro that you can help manage your blood sugar that way?
It's all in the perspective, man. It's depending on who you're talking to. You know, some people you can tell them that, and they're they're wise enough to know that anything should be taken with moderation. But I knew this dude in high school. I think we were in June, maybe sophomore year, so 10th grade, and he had gotten. Didn't they do like a 30 or a 24 pack of Mountain Dew, whatever the case was of the 12-ounce cans, and he was like, you know, he wasn't overweight, he wasn't super skinny, but he was like, average, I suppose, average height, average weight, and apparently he drank an entire case of Mountain Dew one night.
Oh God.
Yeah, and he missed like the entire next 2 weeks of school, and he had gone to the hospital, and then he has diabetes for the rest of his life from doing that, from that
Holy
one night of
crap.
drinking Mountain Dew. Yeah, I've never forgotten that. I was like, man, that's so crazy. So
Dude,
I
that's
used to love
insane.
Mountain Dew, but I never, after drinking like one or two, even to me, it would start to just, I mean, all that sugar just starts to. I don't like all that rich, just. And now
Well, the
sodas are just.
problem So listen, the problem with sodas is that they're using high fructose corn syrup. They're not even using like your regular cane sugar. So it goes to kind of what Chris Diggs is saying here in the chat. Like your body goes into overload because that high fructose corn syrup is far more, I guess, sugar dense, right, than just your regular cane sugar as far as how the body interprets it and processes it. So you go into overload. It shocks the body with sugar when you're just wanting some, you get a ton, and so it freaks the body out. It's just wild. So you got to be careful, especially. I mean, not only with the sugar when you're talking about Mountain Dew, but my God, to consume that much caffeine let's not get on the caffeine bandwagon on this sugar show. But man, that's incredible. That's incredible. Anyhow, I just
Yeah,
find that astounding. To you can take down an entire case of Mountain Dew, end up with diabetes the next day.
for the rest of your life over
Jeez.
one night, and I think he was just like staying up playing video games, so it's something that kind of stuck with me.
Yeah, man. It's
People,
crazy.
I've drank probably 40 beers in one night, and I didn't get no diabetes, but think 24 or 30, whatever the amount was in that case, Mountain Dews, and this dude is screwed for life.
That's insane,
Or,
man.
I mean, he's got to take his shots every day,
Yeah,
check his blood sugar.
messed himself up, man. Messed himself up. So
Yeah.
that leads into another con since we're talking about jacking yourself up on Mountain Dew is you may experience gastrointestinal side effects, and I guarantee you we've all heard the horror stories, and they're quite hilarious. I might add, but we've all heard the horror stories of what a sugar substitute can do to your gastrointestinal side of things. And we've heard the ones about the sugar-free gummy bears. I'm sure we've all heard about those. And I've got Blackbeard in the chat, and he was making jokes about that earlier. Have you heard of that, Chris? Where people are challenging each other to eat these sugar-free gummy bears, or just as a joke, or whatever it may be, and they have
Yeah.
horrible explosive diarrhea.
Yeah, dude, these Twitter
Bad.
or I mean TikTok trends, what was the most recent one? It was all over the place because the kids were dying from it.
Oh God.
Were they eating all the Benadryl? Was that the one? There was something.
Oh, like the sleepy chicken or some shit.
Well, they did that too, but there was also like a Benadryl challenge where they would eat a
Oh,
couple boxes of Benadryl, and it's
oh
like,
Lord.
why in the fuck are y'all doing that? When we were kids, we were like riding dirt bikes and four wheelers and jumping them and shit. None of this was like, oh, let's. I mean, yeah, we did dumb shit, but we didn't just do something that we knew was guaranteed gonna fucking kill us. Pretty much, like, oh, I have a 0.1% chance of surviving this, but I gotta get followers. I'm just so glad I
Dude,
didn't grow up in this fucking age, dude.
me too. We're better for it, man. We're better for it. We got the chat blowing up today, though, dude. I want to say a quick hello to everybody that's joining us on live and anybody that's on playback. We appreciate you guys dropping in, and just continue to show that support because we will continue to come back with these shows week in and week out. Chris and I, we like to flip flop on our channels and do a show every other week for you guys, and we can't thank you enough for showing up and supporting us, guys. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to those in the chat and those who are going to catch us on playback.
Well,
Um,
while we're on that note,
yeah,
if you guys didn't catch the stream we did on my channel where we had Mike Harlow and Quarter Black Garrett from Ladder with Crowder, I went through and I put in chapters. Uh, we we didn't really stick to the script on that one very much, and that's mostly my fault. But I did my best, kind of section it off into each general topic. But it
yeah,
is a little more all over the place than I intended it to be, but that's as you'll have it with live streams. But one more thing about those TikTok challenges they did with that NyQuil chicken, I see that who was it? Blackbeard mentioned in the chat. They did studies on that, and they said that they would cook it, with that uh, cough syrup. They
yeah,
would cook the chicken, and they said that by cooking it, it amplified the potency of the whatever that drug that's in that makes
yeah.
you go to sleep.
The sleeping agent that's in it. Yeah.
hmm And they said that's why it was killing people.
Dang, I had no idea. No idea at all. That's crazy, man. But these kids keep doing it. I don't know. Whatever.
Man, people blowing up my phone in the middle of the show. I should have put it on Do Not Disturb.
We got an excellent close up of your shirt, man. That was good. That was great product placement. We like that.
You got the link in the description. If not, go to my channel, guys. It's in all of my video descriptions, every
All
single
day.
one,
Yes, yes, sir.
as
Yes,
well
sir.
as my coffee brand coffee affiliate link. You can use code FitDadChris at checkout, get a discount on your coffee brand coffee if you know who the quartering is.
Absolutely, absolutely, guys. Follow the link that I have in the description to his channel if you want to take advantage of that stuff. I've got it right there in the description. Moving
Got you
along, though, we
guys.
got another pro here. It can satisfy cravings. That's what I've got written down as a pro here, Chris. Satisfy those sugar cravings. Do you agree, disagree, or indifferent?
I I can't say I really get sugar craving. I don't recall ever having, just I need some sugar. I know when I was a kid, I just sometimes I'd take I'd lick my finger or something, stick it in the sugar and eat sugar like that. But I've never just been like, oh, I need something sweet. I
Yeah.
prefer a steak. I've always been that way as far back as I can remember. But it does say on the package, I was looking for either Diggs or Blackbeard. One said something about them not being able to be used in California. I didn't see
Yeah.
anything about that, but I did see that it says each packet is about as sweet as 2 teaspoons of sugar. See if we can get that to focus.
Yeah. It's focused.
Wayne Johnson. Damn it. Wrong way. Right. Oh my gosh. I have like 4 cameras on this phone. I can't tell which one it's using.
You're on it. You're on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really tiny, but it says 2 teaspoons. So that's about a tablespoon, isn't it? 3 teaspoons in a tablespoon? I can't remember. 2 or 3. So anyway, that's quite a bit of sugar considering how much is in this little packet. You know, it's almost paper thin, and it says it's the equivalent. So I mean, yeah, you could call that a pro for people. I know there are people that have cravings for sugar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that it would definitely fulfill that. It would be better than nothing at all. I've never
Sure.
seen anybody faint. With my history, I've seen a lot of people fiending and dope sick and everything. I can't say I've ever seen anybody sick from not having sugar.
Ooh,
So
buddy, then you haven't seen anybody addicted to it. I mean, I think, you're one of the lucky ones that doesn't have a sugar craving. A lot of people that I know and that I've come across, sugar's a real problem.
yeah,
It's highly addictive, and that's why it becomes the problem. And so it really becomes just as addictive, and you're out of you it becomes where you're out of control, just as you would be if you were an alcoholic or a drug addict. You become truly addicted to it, and then if you just don't consume it, you have DTs just like any other drug. You will feel like crap, massive headaches, dizziness, blurry vision, nausea. I've heard all kinds of symptoms when people really that they're addicted to sugar, and then they just stop. They try to stop it cold turkey. It's
do
bad.
they just like stop all sweets, or they try to substitute it with these artificial sweeteners?
Well, most times when someone tries to stop cold turkey, they try to just they stop completely, and
Yeah,
then they realize, man, that's killing me, and then they start switching over to trying sugar-free stuff to see if they can substitute it and get around the corner, and then you fall into all these pitfalls, right? Like if you don't know how to manage even consuming the sugar-free stuff, you could get into a different set of problems. You could be crapping your pants and consuming tons of calories you didn't even know you were consuming. I mean, we're making jokes about it, making light of it, but these are real issues that I guess people go through. So we want to be able to put the light on those so they know how to avoid them. But I mean, yeah, I guess satisfying cravings is a solid one. I myself don't like to consume a lot of sugar, but I do like a sweet thing every now and again. I'm kind of like you, Chris. If you ask my family, my friends, I'm just not a sweets guy. But heck, every so often, who doesn't want a piece of chocolate or something? Or
cheesecake.
yeah, man, cheesecake. I'm gonna tell you right now, I get
Mm,
down. So, but
yeah.
so whenever I do that, ever so often I'll do sugar free, but I do it so little that actually sometimes I just make the decision and say, screw it, I'm getting the real thing. Why play with sugar free? I'm just gonna go get the real thing. So, but I can do that because I have that discipline, and I'm not saying I'm better than anybody, but not everybody has that discipline in place, and not everybody can be like you and me, Chris, where we don't crave sugar. I don't have a
Yeah.
sugar tooth per se.
It's it's basically in everything we eat though, even if it's only a little bit, especially
Yeah.
here in the States, like just random crap has sugar in it. They sweeten it just a little bit like fries,
Oh yeah.
especially from McDonald's.
Yeah.
A lot of fried foods have sugar in them. And then there's natural sugar that's in basically almost everything we eat. There's a little bit of
Yeah.
fructose in almost anything.
Well, the problem
So,
is, Chris, is that if you and I we generally eat healthy. I would assume we both generally eat healthy. We have a healthy diet. We all eat crap every now and again. Nobody's perfect, but generally we eat healthy. The problem comes whenever you have a person who eats a bunch of processed foods and consumes the sugar, because you're not thinking, just like I'm just going to your point, Chris, you're not thinking about those French fries as sugar, but they
no.
are, because they are a starch and they break down in your body as sugars, right? And that's what happens when your body processes these carbohydrates and these starches. So when you eat a ton of carbohydrates and starches and whatnot, which is a lot of what our processed and junk foods are, that is broken down as sugar in the body. Then you put a Mountain Dew on top of it, and then you put down a candy bar on top of it, and now your whole system's getting crushed, and then you end up with diabetes. That's how it's all happening. We don't all have diabetes because we're walking around eating Skittles all day. We all have diabetes because we're all eating processed foods while eating a bag of Skittles while drinking our Coke. That's where all of our problems they compound. Chris, am I just talking shit, or are you with me?
No, it really is. It's sad to see the way America has fallen into this lazy and entitled society the way it has. And, it's fast food is mainstream. It's like normal for people.
Yeah.
I don't feel like the cooking at home, fresh prep meal thing is normal for people
Yeah.
anymore. Like when I grew where, I grew up, we weren't wealthy, but even if we were, we lived so far out of town, it's just more practical to get groceries
Yeah.
and cook from home.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that eating from home, using fresh ingredients, growing your own ingredients if you're able to. Like we got a few tomato plants, pepper plants, just random, vegetables and stuff. She's been growing and doing pretty well. Um, I think that's more important now than ever because it's going to be the strong that survive. And
Yeah.
I remember when I first started lifting, well, when I first started lifting in the gym. So when I first went back to the gym, um, I had a buddy who always, I went with him for a while, and he was bulking. So he would eat just everything, just fast food, sugar, like you were saying, basically. Like he would get out of the gym and just drink a Mountain Dew. And I'm like, what the fuck? All I want
Right.
is water when I leave the gym, dude. I don't know what the hell's going on with this guy. And
100%.
yeah, and he got so just puffy, just waterlogged, and the carbs. To be clear, and maybe I'm being nitpicky, but the carbs you were talking about, and I know you know this, but for the audiences, are the simple carbs. There's two different
Yeah.
kinds of carbs. So the simple carbs are going to be in your sweets, and they're almost exactly like just eating plain sugar. The
Yeah.
body doesn't have to burn as much energy to break down simple carbs. I'm pretty sure why they're called simple carbs because they break down more simply. They're more easily digested and processed into storable energy, which is body fat.
Yeah.
So your complex carbs are things like bread, for instance, pasta, things like that. The body has to use more energy to digest complex carbs, and above complex carbs is protein.
Hmm.
So the more energy that your body has to use to digest something, the less likely it is for you to cause you to gain weight if you're, consuming not ridiculous portions anyway. So the
Sure.
less energy, if you're eating lots of sugar, ice cream, cakes, stuff like that, the body doesn't have to burn, what is it, like a quarter the amount of energy it takes to break down protein,
Right.
and it just immediately gets stored as fats. And that's
Yeah.
why people, you can see people blow up and gain 50 more pounds in a year. And, you go to your class reunion 10 years after high school and you're like, what the fuck happened to this guy, dude?
Damn.
So, yeah, it's crazy. And I
Yeah,
mean,
man.
but it can, I never really had the issue as far as weight, but I've struggled with other addictions. So I can definitely
Sure.
understand. I can understand the concept.
Yeah.
Um, but I will never bow down and say, "Oh, you're a victim, and there's nothing you can do."
No, no,
No.
there's always something you could do. You have a choice in every single thing that you do in your life. There's always a choice. May not be the ones you like, but you have choices. Um, but yeah, I mean that leads me to my next con though. So we've covered another pro. Let's get into a con. It actually triggers appetite. So that's what made me think of, as you kind of were talking about people blowing up in weight. A con of a artificial sweetener in some people it actually triggers an appetite. It's not for everybody, but it is the case, and to where some people's brains just that triggers them to want to eat more and to binge. And if you find yourself, consuming these sweeteners and then, you know, getting hungrier, or you find yourself binging and not knowing it, stay away, stay far away. You're going to end up, like Chris said, going to your high school reunion, 50 pounds heavier than you were just a few years back. And they're probably going to wonder what the hell happened. But that's a real thing. Chris, have you ever heard of that?
The triggering, I've heard of, similar things. So I feel like it's more of a, the mechanisms in the brain that kind of trigger euphoria. They trigger like immediate reactions, almost like impulses. I feel like it's something related to that. So I don't think it's the sweetener per se. I feel like it's the sensation that the people they were doing these studies on, they got that sweet, and they're used to binging and they're used to
Hmm.
binging on sweets. So once they taste sweet, that triggered that same kind of impulse. I feel like, I wonder, if the study might have been skewed by that. I mean,
Maybe.
it's just an idea, so I don't really know for sure, but that seems like something that could be contributing
Certainly.
to that.
Seems a little more subjective, but yeah, I just the thing is whenever I hear that, I'm like, yeah, just be careful with it because there's so many different ways and so that we can all be unhealthy and gain weight out there. Why add to it with a sugar free sweetener? So let's go into another pro then. It's not just for people with diabetes. That's a pro. If you don't know much about sugar-free anything, as far as substitute sweeteners, whether it's candies or just sweeteners for like Chris said, his coffee or my tea. If you don't know much about it, you might think it's just for diabetics, and that's not the case. If you want to try to eat some, sugar-free candy and not feel so guilty, by all means, go eat some. And I want everybody to know that it's not just for sick people. Basically, it's for those who just don't want to consume the normal sugar, whether they want to save the calories or the sugar carbs or whatever they're trying to save off of their daily intake. What do you think about that, Chris?
Yeah, it's definitely, it can be kind of like a supplement. And what's interesting about the study that I pulled up is it's a long-term study, more of chronic use of not just artificial sweeteners or sweet and low. It's one of the ingredients that are in sweet and low, saccharin, I believe it's called, or saccharin.
Saccharin.
Yeah. So I feel like that study, and if you would prefer, I can just share the screen and we can kind of go over some of the
Yeah,
highlights of it when you're ready. But
yeah.
yeah, I feel like with supplements, with basically anything, and artificial sweetener is, if anything, it's a supplement. It's a sugar supplement. So moderation always, and it's best
Always.
used with the original. Like if you're gonna have a protein shake, you should eat some chicken or some salmon or something else. They're best used together, not one to entirely take the place of the other. Now you can always do without the supplement and go all natural, but if
Mm-hmm.
you must use the supplement, it's better to use both than only the supplement. You see these people trying to rely on protein shakes as their only source of um, energy
Protein.
intake, basically,
Yeah.
and they're trying to lose weight, and they're like, "Oh, I'll just drink all these protein shakes," and your body doesn't digest the proteins and get them broken down nearly as well out of that protein powder or whatever you're drinking or eating, unless you consume something. I'm just going to say real with it. Like if you eat some chicken and then drink a protein shake on top of it, your body will take more time to break that chicken down. And as it's doing that, it's also going to break down the proteins, and you'll get more value out of each gram of protein, and you won't shit it out, basically.
100%. Yeah. And so, and one thing I'm going to add to that is they're called supplements for a reason. They are simply supposed to be supplementation. They are not the core, I guess, source of whatever you're trying to take in. So that's what I like to kind of tell myself in my head is, these things are supplementations. They are not supposed to be substitutes, completely flipping them. And like Chris said, drinking nothing but protein shakes to get your protein intake, but eating very little of your protein from your animal proteins.
Yeah,
Can't
those
do that
people will be shitting water too.
all day, all day. It'll tear you up, man. But man, it's crazy. So I
That
got
would ruin me on protein shakes. I've never done that, but it would. I know I would just never want another protein shake in my life after like 2 days.
no doubt, man. I can't do it. I got to eat my protein. I very little anymore do I drink my protein. It's very much a light supplementation, at least in my diet. So I just
Yeah,
eat a lot of food.
I've got some of those muscle milks that have been sitting in my fridge for about 2 months now, I think. And I like them. If I'm going to drink a
Yeah.
protein shake, I've tried some of the more expensive. What's that? Gold Star? Is it gold? The one they sell at GNC, it's expensive. Comes in, I mean,
Yeah.
you can get a bag, a big bag of it.
Yeah.
That's really good. But as far as a more inexpensive protein shake, that those muscle milk, dude, in the powder form and the ones you can buy that are already mixed up, they're
Yeah.
good, especially for their price. They're very good. I
Agreed.
mean, and you can try some of those other ones that are, they claim to have more protein, they claim all this, but they taste like shit. I would take a one that I enjoy that is, better. And if you go on my channel, I have a lot of reviews on different kinds of protein candies and snacks and stuff like the Quest stuff and the
Yeah.
Quest protein chips, and then the what is it? The Core Power protein. You see in the gas station.
Yeah.
For a while, I was just going in and picking a different one and doing a little short on it every day or every
Yeah.
other day or so. And some of those were pretty good too. So if you leave the gym and you just want to get a hot shot of protein, that's a myth that you have to have protein immediately. Just for the
It is a myth.
audience, don't
It is a
have to
myth.
immediately have protein after the gym, but some people prefer to anyway. I know I've seen Eddie Hall videos. He's drinking protein in the middle of his workout, and he's drinking another essential amino acids, I believe, in the middle of his workout. None of that's necessary. I would
Yeah.
say 2 hours would be ideal. 2 hours after. Um, but
I
yeah,
would I just tell myself I eat an X amount of protein per day. It doesn't matter when I take it in. I just don't stress about it. And I think,
exactly.
and that also helps in muscle growth. If you know much of anything about muscle growth, stress is a killer.
It
It,
really
it,
is.
it shoots that muscle growth right down. So if you're stressing about your damn intake, you're totally counterproductive trying to get your intake at the perfect times. So I'd rather just fudge the times and not stress and not have that stress hormone pumping through my bloodstream. And so I just eat and drink all day, every day. I get my protein some days I don't. I kind of don't care. And I just know that slow and steady wins the race. I'm just consistent with it. I'm always just staying on top of it. I'm not some super elite bodybuilder or athlete that I have to absolutely stay on top of my macros and micros all day, every day. Just a regular dude. So why stress about it? Because I've got enough stress coming from the job and from the family and from the kids, all that stuff. I don't need to stress about my protein. I don't need
Yeah, a
that.
lot of people make it far more complicated than it is. And I hate to drag on. I know I brought Jeff Nippert up in the last stream, but he just seems to overcomplicate everything. And I know he's trying to make everything science based and everything. I'm like, so eat X amount of protein, X amount of calories to gain weight. Same thing to lose weight, just less calories, basically, deficit.
Yeah.
And he'll do like a 2 hour long video just to explain that. I'm like, um, maybe one out of every 100 people that watch this are going to actually understand what you're talking about, dude. But he does have millions of subs. I think people that are less intelligent just watch his videos and they're like, oh, this guy's really smart. So they sub to him, and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, look at this guy. And he's like 5 foot tall. So, of course,
Yeah.
he's going to pack on muscle easily. Any short guys always pack on muscle easily. Must be nice. But,
I know.
you're, what, you're 6 foot?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm 6'3". I've always kind of, I remember, I'll never forgot this kid that I grew up with and went to school with. I skateboarded a lot in middle school, so I was like shredded. I wasn't like bulky, but I was shredded. And dude was
Yeah.
like, "You only got abs because you're so skinny." And he's this short little, sawed off little bastard. He always has been.
Sawed off.
And now I think about it, and I'm like, yeah, such a bright fellow that guy was. But it kind of pissed me off at the time. Because I mean, it wouldn't have if he was a random dude, but I thought he was, supposed to be my friend. But he was kind of digging on me to make himself look better in front of the preppy girls. But
Right.
those bitches he was trying to impress still liked my abs better than his fat ass stomach.
That's cold blooded, but it's true. Truth hurts, guys.
It
Truth
is what
hurts.
it is, man. We
It's
gotta
what it
get
is.
back in touch with the truth. Everybody wants to live in these fantasy lands. Oh, your time. Did you see that, dude? That chick that I'm just gonna pull it up.
Pull it up.
Yeah. All right, take the wheel for a minute. I got you. A surprise.
I gotta see this.
Oh God, it's awful. So what else is on your
Yeah, my
script
list, man.
there?
So let's see. Let's go into another con real quick. And a con I've got down here is sugar free doesn't mean fat free, and it kind of goes back to what we were saying at the very beginning. It's not calorie free either. The thing about sugar free anything, I think it has this connotation like whenever you read it or see it, you automatically think that it is absolutely guilt free, right? Sugar free means guilt free, and that's not the case. You have to be careful. You're still consuming something. It's just a sugar substitute. And oftentimes they have to add a whole lot of extra other stuff to these sugar substitutes to make up for the flavor or try to adjust that flavor so it tastes more quote unquote normal. And oftentimes that means adding more calories and or fat to the product itself. So and that then leads to just more over processing. So you really got to just watch it. I mean, I think it'd be silly to just think that if you pick up something that says sugar free, it automatically means you're doing the right thing. 'Cause that's not the case. Sometimes I'd rather get a piece of real candy, if I'm being very honest, than mess with sugar free sometimes. And it depends on the product, depends on how or why I'm using it. But sugar free does not mean fat free, and so you got to watch out for that stuff, guys. As for another pro I've got though, I've got a sugar free candy comes in many varieties. So that's a pro because oftentimes I would think that someone who is who is a sugar lover, that there's about a million choices of kinds of sugar and or candies you can have, in the grocery store aisle or in the convenience store. But you think sugar free is limited when in some cases it is, depending on the location where you're shopping. But you have many varieties of sugar-free items that you can actually choose from, as long as you're out there looking for them and trying to make those healthier choices. I mean, do you find that to be the case, Chris? Or I mean, since you're really not a sugar eater, do you even know that you can find many varieties of these sugar-free candies?
Oh yeah, I mean, as society has progressed or regressed, basically, stayed.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, depending on which aspect you're looking at. Yeah, there's more and more options. There's a whole candy aisle if you go to Walmart, and there's definitely a section that's sugar free, and it grows.
yeah,
It's getting larger and larger, despite these healthy at every size nut jobs trying to pretend like it's okay to be morbidly obese.
right.
So um, it's yeah, people will overdo anything if they are the type of people to overdo stuff. So
Agreed.
it's really about self control and, just not over indulging, if you
Yeah,
will,
yeah.
and just discipline.
At this point, it becomes a lifestyle change, which is what Chris and I preach dang near every stream we do and a lot of videos we do. It's just, we're not asking you to sprint. We're asking you to just take it as a jog and get through life and make the lifestyle change. Because you have to be able to settle into something comfortably. You can't go nuts in any one direction because you'll end up burning out. Don't cut it completely out. Don't cut anything completely out of your diet. I will never advocate for anyone to cut sugar totally out of their diet, 100% and gone, totally out of their diet. It's all about moderation and what your needs are. Now, sitting across the table from a type 1 or type 2 diabetic, then we're having a different conversation about sugar. I'm talking about just generally, general public that doesn't deal with diabetes. I'm not asking you to cut anything out completely, and just the same as I'm not asking anybody to cut out. I don't know, sodas 100%. Just cold turkey one day, cut sodas out. Now we all know, cutting sodas out can help a ton of people. But when you've grown that addiction, to ask somebody to just cut it out, yeah, that may last about a week, and then they'll go nuts and gain it all back. It's kind of like somebody I look at it as somebody who has had the bariatric surgery, Chris, where they almost got the easy way out in a sense, and then they end up gaining more back after the fact.
Well, that's why most doctors, I think, well, one of the reasons that Man, this fly, I'm about to go nuts in here and start throwing shit. This fly keeps right by my face. Anyway, they'll make them lose some weight before they'll do the surgery, and I feel like that kind of gets them in the rhythm, to continue that weight loss. It's like
Yeah.
they start, they start the race, and then they get picked up by a car and taken three-quarters of the way to the finish line, but they still have to finish the race. They're not done.
Right.
But a lot of people are going to fail, obviously. But I did find that video, and I didn't find the actual video. I think it's a TikTok actually, but
Yeah.
I found the reaction to it. So I'll just cut it off after the little short TikTok is over. All right, Microsoft Edge tab and this guy. And then when you're ready, I'll pull that study up as well. All right, you guys see?
I'm about to add it to the stream right now.
Just let me know when you're ready.
We got it.
God, here we go.
This is just a reminder
God.
that your tummy is so cute. So cute.
Screw you.
Oh my God. Freak. So
Yikes.
cute.
Yikes.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Just snort short a little bit, but they're out there, and
Yeah.
it's kind of like most activists where it's not as many people as it seems. It's just the few that are so loud, they make it seem like there's more of them than there actually are. Well, we've seen this time and time again. It proves itself, like G4 TV getting shut down. She-Hulk
Yeah.
ratings being
Yeah.
ass for a damn
Abysmal.
Marvel show.
Abysmal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. Crazy,
And
man.
it's like, this is not what the general public desires.
Yeah, man.
Hollywood, you bunch of fucking nut jobs.
Well, it'll take a while for them to get the message that, when it starts hitting their pocketbook like that, they have to start listening at some point.
It's funny because they pay off all the critics, and all the critic ratings are like way up here, and then like the actual, and what they did for Rings of Power, I think they did it for She-Hulk and a couple other of those modern shows, if you
Yeah.
will. For Rings of Power, Amazon made you sign up and have an account, or you couldn't leave a review. And for the first week, nobody could leave a review. There were 3 reviews up, and they were only praising. Like, they took out everything else and then locked it. And then they would make you sign up, have your own personal membership that was matched to your IP address to leave a review. And they went in and wiped out everything that was less than 3 stars.
Damn.
Yeah, the Quartering did a breakdown on it because you could watch it happen in real time. Like, you would see reviews and they would disappear. They'd be gone. And there were just like a few hundred maybe. And we're talking Amazon, like their big hit show. Should there not be thousands and thousands of reviews? And there's just like maybe a few hundred. It's pathetic, man.
That's crazy, man.
I wish they'd just pack it up and take it somewhere else,
They won't. It's gonna have to run its course. It'll either run its course or run us into the ground. We'll figure out which one it is in the next few years. But whatever.
I'd lost all faith in humanity. Well, when we had a kid, I knew I had to find some. So
Absolutely.
I think as the parents, the more they piss parents off, the worse it's going to get for them. And they are pissing the parents off, dude.
Bad.
So, yeah, there are, the family unit is, that's what they're doing. They're going to end up in a society, a utopian society that is like The Handmaid's Tale. They talk shit like it's The Handmaid's Tale now. It's like, think like 3 generations later, you get what you want. Where the fuck are babies going to come from? No,
Exactly.
seriously.
I
I mean,
know.
they're going to have to put the bitch in the in some kind of little fucking place and then incubate babies. They'll be baby incubators. That's what they will be. They're stupid as fuck, dude. That's why I don't know. Anyway, I'm off topic, but yeah,
No, that's fine.
let's finish your script there. And this one, man, it's got a lot of. It's kind of a long, but it kind of shows the chemical breakdown. And what I was really focused on was the study evaluated the effect of chronic consumption of saccharin on
Yeah.
important physiological and biochemical parameters in rats. So this was a study done on rats, which rats are very similar to humans. Did you know they
Even
can
more.
laugh? Did you know
What?
rats can laugh? They figured it out because they recorded it. You can't hear it. Like our ears don't catch the frequency. It's a high frequency, but they took like a pencil, I think, and used it in an eraser and were tickling the rat. And then when they altered the frequency, they could hear the rat laughing. Learned that from Jordan Peterson. You should look into it. It's interesting. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna
rats
have to
are very like humans. That's why they do studies on them all the time.
just figured they were just we didn't care. We thought that they were lesser than us, but maybe I'm
Well,
wrong.
ask Dr. Fauci about the dogs.
Yeah,
Everything's less than us, right? Even
yeah,
us, even
even
people are less than us.
well, let me do. I'm going to do my last two pros and cons, and I want to see that study that you're talking about because I got about 5, 10 more minutes here, and I want to be able to wrap us up. But the last pro I have here is you can find sugar-free candy made with natural sweeteners as well. It doesn't have to be the chemically made stuff. I mean, you've got like honey, agave, fruit juices, maple syrup, molasses, things like that. Those can be, sugar alternatives. So that's something also that some people can look to. And I think that's a huge help, and that's also a huge help for those who don't want to, I guess, take in the chemical man-made, sugar-free like sweetened alternatives or sugar alternatives. Honey. Man, I love honey. Some people don't love honey. I love honey. I mean, I get down on agave, fruit juices, like I said, maple syrup, molasses. All those things can be a great alternative. So if you want to turn towards something a little more natural, but stay away from the processed sugars. That's what you can get, guys. And then my last con here, Chris, I've got is a sugar-free candy costs much more, and that is an absolute fact. If you ever purchase any sugar-free candy per se, even just sweeteners in packets, go try to go buy some regular old white, processed sugar, and then get you, the more sugar-free stuff, the Sweet and Lows, Splendas, stevia, things like that. You will see a major cost difference.
That box of 250 packets, I think it was like $7. Sweet and
Yeah,
low, 7, maybe 8. It's gone up as everything else.
yeah,
5-pound bag of sugar is like what, $3 or $4,
nothing.
and
Yeah,
flour is even cheaper than that.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but yeah, the higher cost is just the man hours that go into it. They don't just make the
yeah.
candy; they have to make the ingredients first, and then they make the candy after that.
Right. So, but I want to be able to go through all that, Chris. And I think today we've definitely kind of shown a lot of the pros and cons, and it gives our audience really the ability to make the decision on their own. We weren't here to try to sway anybody today. We just want to go through all the pros and cons, and just you can make your own decision. Because I'm not going to tell you what the right or wrong decision is, and I'm not sure there is one. But all I know is that it's your decision. It's not mine. It's not Chris's. But we definitely have our opinions. But you come here for that. Any of our audience members who've been back time and time again, Chris, they know what we're here to do. They know we're not trying to bullshit people. They know we're just giving our honest opinions, and they can take with it how they will. Am I wrong, Chris?
No, I mean, I'm always going to be honest.
Yeah,
I don't fear the woke mob. I'm not afraid of being canceled. The way I see it, if I were to be canceled, it would be free publication. Like, thank you. I would just gain subscribers. I mean, YouTube knows I'm here. I've noticed that they've kind of they've sent me messages before, and
Yeah.
they did gave me a copyright, not a strike, but a warning, I think,
Yeah.
or
Something
something
like
one
that.
time. So they're watching my shit, and it was for 5 seconds or less than 5 seconds of a video. I had made a pun in one of my videos, and then there was a song that went along with it, and I put like the just a 3 second clip in, and they hit a 26-minute video and took it down, and I had to go take that 3 seconds out of the video to get the video put back up. But yeah, Cheesecake Factory is awesome. I saw Diggs over here in the chat. Um, but yeah, as for our audience, like we remember you guys. Like I even remember that teenage girl, dude, that she was trying to get. She was saying she was drinking
Yeah.
all those sodas and stuff, and
Yeah.
yeah, I still wonder how she's doing. Maybe she'll come
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. I'm
I
curious
hope she's
too.
doing well, really,
I hope so.
because
If she stayed on that track, she is.
some people do well with the whole immediate change, everything, cold turkey kind of stuff, but I feel like on average, just small changes over time are more, practical
Agreed.
because it's not like you have to change your entire life all at once. You
Yeah.
can't, you just from dumping 2 tablespoons of sugar or 3 or more in your coffee, throwing a pack of artificial sweetener in, and then maybe 1 tablespoon of sugar. I don't even use that much. I can't stay. If it's too sweet, I'd rather it be too. I'd rather it have not enough than too
Right.
much. Because when it's too sweet, I'm like, oh god.
Too
But yeah,
sweet is unbearable. Now, not sweet enough is perfectly fine. I can do not sweet enough.
I like some black coffee every now and then. But I
Yeah.
mean, if I'm gonna drink coffee, the way I prefer it is to have just a little bit of creamer, a little bit of sweetener. Um, but yeah, it's and then you just slightly make changes over time. And I've stressed that in a lot of videos, a lot of shows we've done, but it really is one of the key things I want everybody to take home is that you don't have to change everything at once. I was
Mm-mm.
still I wasn't partying. I was still drinking pretty heavily when I started lifting. I still used opiates a few times, but the thing was is that I stuck with it. I've told this story. I started off doing a few push-ups every other day, and then I just
Yeah.
upped it. About every week, I would add in something new. And you can't practically do that for an entire year, but you kind of get the prospect.
Yeah.
But anyway, um, here we go.
You got it. I'll get it to share the screen if you need to pull it up. And I've
Yeah,
got
getting
one
it
last
right.
message here. Looks like in the chat from Chris that we should do a calorie, carb, and sugar episode where we guess the amounts in different foods or condiments. I think that'd be a pretty cool show, man. So that's a good suggestion from Chris.
Yeah, we can do that
Yeah.
for sure.
Man, we like getting suggestions from our audience, man. We like to be able
Absolutely.
to cover what you guys want us to cover.
We live to serve.
Here we go.
All right. So, let me scroll back to the top here. So this is from the National Library of Medicine, PMC, PubMed Central. See .gov here, and this isn't really a political topic, so you can probably rely on it to be mostly accurate.
Yeah.
So the study's title is long-term saccharin consumption and increased risk of obesity, diabetes, hepatic dysfunction, and renal impairment in rats. And for reference, rats are a lot. I mean, they're so much more similar to humans. It's almost scary to think about. Like they're social. They have their own personalities. They can be obese. They can be skinny. Some are highly addictive to drugs and alcohol, and some aren't. Because when they studied them, not in a enclosed experiment, but when they studied them in an open environment where they had like acres to run, and they all had their little they had a way to track each one. And they
Yeah.
would put like in a certain area of their environment, they would put like either some alcohol or some poppy or something, some kind of drug, some
Yeah.
kind of escape. And they found that only like 5 to 10% of them would actually repeatedly go over there. Some of them would go try it and then they would, kind of like it for the night, but then they would never go back. Or some would come once a week, and
Right.
some would sit there and drink themselves to death. And a similar study was done with monkeys, and they found the same thing. It was the percentages were almost the same. It's ridiculous.
Interesting.
Yeah, it really is, man. Dr. Peterson is a wealth of information. Whether you agree with everything he says or not, he really is. I mean, he's well studied and well versed, and I
Sure.
feel like he's very good at his job. But most of that I learned from him, and then not that I didn't trust him, I was just interested to learn more, so I went and looked into it myself.
Right.
So, the objectives of the study: this study evaluated the effect of chronic consumption of saccharin on important physiological and biochemical parameters in rats. Materials and methods were male Wistar rats. I guess that's a certain breed, and they were
Mhm.
dudes. Notice they were male,
Yeah.
woke community. If you hear, go fuck yourselves. You ever notice how when you get a dog neutered, it's still a dude? It's still a male dog. Y'all ever notice that?
Still a
Chopping
dude.
its balls off doesn't make it a female. Anyway,
Oh, yeah.
so the rats were used in this study and were divided into 4 groups: a control group and 3 experimental groups. 1, 2, and 3 were treated with different doses of saccharin at 2.5, 5, and 10 milligrams per kilogram. Dude, that seems like a lot. That's
Doesn't it?
gotta be a lot, dude, because let's see. This is the net weight is 1 gram. One entire gram is in this. And I mean, what, 1,000 milligrams in a gram? Or is it more? I think it's 1,000. Anyway, that's still a lot. 10 milligrams per kilogram. And yeah, it seems like a lot. Anyway, each experimental group received sodium saccharin once per day for 120 days, while the control group was treated with distilled water only. In addition to the evaluation of body weight, blood samples, total protein, what the fuck ever that is, albumin,
Uh-uh.
yeah, glucose, lipid profile, alanine transaminase, ALT, aspirate transaminase, AST, lactate dehydrogenase. Anyway, a shitload of parameters. Okay, I'm not fucking Jeff Nippert. Okay, let's see. Creatine and uric acid. Yeah, we get the point. Anyway, after 60 and 120 days for biochemical evaluation, liver, catalyst activity, brain. Are we still in the damn parameters? No, hold on. The data showed that saccharin. I should have read this before we started, but I didn't have time. The data showed that saccharin at 5 milligrams per kilogram increased body weight of treated rats after 60. I'm assuming 59% that's going to be the amount of rats that had an increase in body weight. So 59% had an increase in body weight after 60 days at the dose of 5 milligrams per kilogram. And at 120 days, 67%. And that many days of treatment. So that was 5 milligrams per kilogram. So they were gaining weight, basically. 67% of them gained weight. So that means 33%. They were all taking this 5 milligrams per kilogram of this, one of the main ingredients in these artificial sweeteners, and they didn't gain body weight. That's not really great odds. I wouldn't stake my life on it. The activity of LDH and uric acid increased proportionally with dosage levels and consumption period. Yeah, that seems practical to a point. There was an increased concentration of creatine. No, that's creatinine. Creatinine? That's not creatine.
No, it's
Yeah,
creatinine.
Yeah. After treatment with saccharin at 2.5, 5, and 10 milligrams per kilogram following 60 and 120 days. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I would have to look into this. So this is the uric acid. I'm pretty sure that's one of your stomach acids that helps digest your food.
Yeah.
So that was increased proportionally. There was an increase of concentration of creatinine. That's what all that damn near paragraph basically means. Catalase activity and 8-0-HDG increased by 51% and 49% respectively following 120 days of treatment with saccharin at 2.5 milligrams per kilogram. And we're just now to the introduction. So, but I want to know the bottom line. So, if anyone wants to know what the particle looks like, this is what it looks like. So, they definitely had to create that in a lab.
Yeah.
That's compound is prepared through reacting methyl and anthralinate, anthranilate with nitrous acid, sulfur dioxide, chlorine, and ammonia. That sounds so healthy, dude. Yeah, just mix some methyl anthranilate, anthranilate with nitrous acid, sulfur dioxide, chlorine, and ammonia. Are we cooking meth in this motherfucker, dude? It is about 300 times sweeter than sucrose and is considered to be one of the most important and widely used sweeteners worldwide. That is unnerving, bro. This is what they use to make that shit.
Yeah, man, look at that. That's incredible. It's scary, man.
It is the oldest artificial sweetener and was discovered in 1879. God. How many medications are we still using from 1879? Yeah, when I found this, it said it was a medicinal compound. Saccharin is a water-soluble acid with pKa of 1.8. That's its acidity. So it's really not that acidic, but, the more you ingest, the more acidic it becomes. Its absorption is increased in animal species with lower stomach pH, such as rabbits, humans, relative to other mammals with higher stomach pHs, such as rats. That means it's going to affect our stomachs differently than rats. The rats have a much more rapid metabolism. Their heart rates are crazy, a whole lot faster.
Yeah.
Just their entire body processes are ridiculously fast. Whereas if you compare our metabolic rate, our heartbeat, everything to that of an elephant, the elephant is like, how many heartbeats per minute? It's not very much. You should know,
Very
cardiovascular
few.
specialist. Yeah. So basically, the size of the mammal will determine the speed of not only your heartbeat, but your metabolic rate, just basically everything altogether. And if you're a smaller person, as in like you're shorter, way
Yeah.
less, and you're not overweight, studies indicate that you'll live longer because you're putting less of a workload on all of your organs. So,
Yeah.
myself, for instance, 6'3", 200 pounds, not really likely that I'll see 90 years old. Not impossible, but not likely. I'm not going to expect it. Whereas, Thor Bjornsson or people, of that ridiculously massive stature, I'd be surprised to see him hit 70. And that's taking into account his money and everything, all the doctors he has at his disposal. It's just some things are, once they're broken, they're not able to be repaired.
100%.
So this is commonly used in soft drinks, baked foods, jams, canned fruit, candy, dessert toppings, and chewing gum. Since saccharin's sweetening power is not reduced when heated, it is an excellent candidate as an additive in low-calorie and sugar-free products. Pharmacokinetic characteristics of saccharin. Unlike glucose and sucrose, saccharin cannot be metabolized by the body. Saccharin has been reported as a stable compound under a wide range of conditions, and no detectable metabolism of saccharin was shown either in mammals or humans. Current research. Humans are it says animals. I was like, dude, humans are fucking. Well, we're animals too, but whatever. Current research hypothesizes that because saccharin is highly polar, it is slowly and incompletely absorbed from the gut, but rapidly eliminated in the urine, leading to a reduction in its concentration within the plasma. The decrease in plasma concentrations after an oral dosing is governed by the absorption rate, which is a phenomenon described as a flip-flop situation typical of molecules which are absorbed slowly but eliminated rapidly. So when I first started that paragraph, I was kind of starting to think, so that's, I think Diggs, he was talking about in the chat saying that, something what went to our brain, but then it says, it's eliminated in the urine. So if something is getting sent to our brains, the body doesn't know what to do with it. It isn't this ingredient. I'm not saying there's not some ingredient in there that happens. So I just wanted to know what the bottom line. Oxidative stress, liver cells throughout lowering catalyst activity in total. And if you guys want to check this, check out this study, we can I can shoot it over to Michael and he can list it down in the description. That's for you guys watching now and on playback. I'm just these animals were kept in, so these are, oh man, I was like, man, those are massive rats when I thought that was kilograms. So they weighed 250 to 320. They were housed in Animal House of the College of Veterinary Medicine, University of The Hague. I wonder what that is. Probably, it's in Europe, I'm sure. These animals were kept in ventilated cages at controlled temperature and were exposed to cycle of light and dark. Food and water were given ad lib, basically. Rat handling and treatment were according to guidelines of laboratory animal care. The study was approved by the dude. Can we have some results? Rather than how you managed to achieve the results, I want to know the results. Co-host has shit to do. To determine the effect of saccharin consumption on body weight and blood glucose. Different doses of saccharin were given to the rat groups compared to the control. Observed data is shown in Figure 2A. B, a significant increase in body weight during the period of saccharin consumption was noticed at 5 milligrams per kilogram. I would have to do the figures to figure out how much that would be, for a human, basically. But I weigh like 89, 88 kilos.
Yeah.
So 5 milligrams per kilogram, and one of these is 1 gram.
That's a lot, man. It's like,
yeah, it's a lot. It really is, dude. So, and you're talking about these rats, they're weighing them in grams. So imagine, how much seems like that'd be the equivalent to me just taking that whole box and dumping it in my water and chugging it.
Pretty much.
The consumption increased glucose level at 5, 75%, 62, and 10 milligrams per kilogram after 60 and 120 days of treatment, respectively. The highest increase was observed after 60 days of treatment. So that's likely due to the body trying to adapt or developing a what's it called? Tolerance.
Yeah.
So this is showing how much each rat was given. This is their glucose levels, and this is the time zones. So we're seeing like a steady increase.
Yeah.
So the colors are the indicators that how much the rat is given, and these are their actual. So these are their levels. So you see that they're spiking their sodium saccharose, I believe is what that is.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's
Holy
the
moly.
lipid profile, the saccharin intake, 2.5. What was that one? Oh, that's the lipid profile. So bad. No, I'm just kidding. Let's see. I was really just, I didn't realize this damn, this is all their sources. Look at all these fucking sources.
Look at
Half a
that,
page.
dude. Yeah, man.
Spent some time on this, man. Okay, here's what we were looking for. LDH, okay, I'm just going to start right here. Chronic consumption of saccharin may cause kidney injury, according to the results, which showed a significant elevation in the blood creatinine level at all doses studied. So they did 2.5 milligrams per kilogram all the way up to 10 milligrams per kilogram, and all doses studied when compared to the control group. This result could be due to disturbances. So their control group is going to be the rats that they didn't dose with this particular ingredient. This result could be due to disturbances in renal functions, leading to reduced glomerular filtration rate, which I'm assuming is the kidney's ability to filter out, shit. This result, oh no, where was I? Okay, followed by retention of urea and creatinine in the blood. Similar results were obtained previously, showing that saccharin doses between 10 and 500 milligrams per kilogram. Did that not kill the rat? 500 milligrams per kilogram may harmfully alter. That's half of a gram. So, and that's, think of how small these rats are.
Jesus, dude.
Harmfully alter biochemical markers in the liver and kidneys. So basically what it's saying is your liver and kidneys have a difficult time filtering this shit out of your system. And I'm not able to put a link in, but I can send it to you, sir.
Yeah, man.
If you want to link it in the description below for anybody that wants to nerd out on it. But basically get the bottom line though.
Yeah, man.
Sorry, I didn't know it was going to take so long. I thought it was
I'm not worried about
a little more,
compressed. No, that's not a big deal. The thing is people can stay and watch this whole stream for as long as they want, or for as little as they want. We just try to give all the information we can. So you got a lot of facts there at the end. So guys, I can't thank y'all enough for showing up on live and on playback. I really can't. Cris and I both really enjoy doing these shows for y'all every other week. Don't forget to go down in the description if you haven't already and click on Chris's link to his actual channel and go ahead and subscribe and turn on notifications there, because our next show will be there in 2 weeks. If you haven't already as well, go ahead and smash that like button, guys, and subscribe if you found this to be entertaining or educational, either one. We want to be able to continue to bring you more and more content as time goes on. So one thing you'll get from Cris and I both is just our honest opinions. We're not swayed by any one thing or another. We're just going to shoot it straight. We are not gonna sit here and blow smoke. We're just two regular guys, and we're just telling you and kind of coaching you how to get along with a healthy lifestyle in a way that you can actually maintain and manage it. So Cris, you want to take us out?
Absolutely. And to branch off of what you were saying, of course, we're going to have our own perspective. Everybody has their own perspectives due to the different experiences they've lived throughout their life. So we welcome everyone who is based in reality. Even if you live in your fantasy land and you think being overweight is healthy or whatever, you can still watch our show. We're not telling you to leave. What we do not appreciate is people trying to misrepresent what we're saying and acting like we're attacking somebody. I do attack some people, and I don't really like to group them. I do, like the SJW activists, stuff like that. But in almost every group, you're going to find reasonable people, and they're just kind of there because, all my friends are doing this or whatever. There's more people that are reasonable than you would think. So, I've got an open mind for you guys. I used to say I was all open with God, I hate trying not to step in the political zone anyway, but yeah, I used to like be very center lined, I guess you could say, and having a kid kind of opened my eyes to at some point you got to pick the lesser of two evils, and you got to pick the one that is going to be authentic.
Yeah.
And, as for that study, for example, I didn't just pick the first one I saw. I went through a couple different pages. I went through Yahoo and Google, both of those browsers, and I picked the one that I thought would be the most practical for our show today. And,
Yeah.
and I try to do that with everything. I don't just see the first thing I see and, oh, that's the gospel. That's what it
Yeah.
is. You have to be objective, no matter if you're going to, especially if you're raising a kid, for the love of God, stop trying to say that your kid is transgender when they're 6 years old. He thinks he's a fucking dinosaur.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, but anyway, that's how we try to approach everything, whether it's fitness, whether it's, cardiovascular health, any parameters, we get, maybe we'll do a reaction to somebody who opposes. I don't see how you could really oppose our statements, though, because we kind of leave it up for people to just carry the ball on. We don't really just like say, oh, this, but if somebody comes out and blatantly says, oh, it doesn't matter how many calories you eat if you eat gluten free,
Right.
we're probably going to put them on blast, because realistically, and things that happen in reality, where most people live and have to interact with other people in reality, a calorie is a measurement of energy. It's a scientific fact. It's been studied thousands of times and proven over and over and over. That's why it's called a fact and not an idea. And the more calories you consume, the more weight you're going to gain. So they noticed that ingredient from the sweetener was causing weight gain in the rats. I would assume you would probably have the same effect if you did that exact same study on humans or monkeys with proportions. You'd have different acidic levels in your stomach. We learned that because we have different microbiomes in our stomachs. But anyway, what I was trying to say is just don't take everything you hear on TV, dude, as gospel. You're hearing people say that being fat is healthy and, everything. It's not. It's not. It's serious. And especially if you've got a kid, you need to think about being around for them. And I don't care if they're grown. I'm 30 years old, and if I could go talk to my mom, I would have a million questions for her. Like, how do I navigate this? What do I do here? What do I do here? Your kids are going to need you always. So think about being here for them in the long haul. Don't think about what makes you happy. It doesn't matter anymore. It's all about securing what gives your children the best opportunity in the future, and making sure that they can rely on you. Yeah, I didn't mean to get that serious on you guys, but it really is. Like, that's the entire reason I pursued any kind of fitness. Being healthy. It's why I made this channel, to show people that just because I was an addict, some people would say I'm still an addict, like whatever, because they say you're an addict for life, even if you've been clean for 5 years. I don't really see things that way. I've changed too much, and I don't see myself as that person anymore. But anyway, that's a topic for a different time. But yeah, if you guys take anything away from this, moderation.
Moderation. Guys, you've heard it. So once again, we want to thank y'all. We like to be able to explain kind of our points of view at the end of every show, just so we're clear. And Chris went into great detail, so there's really nothing I can add to that, guys. We're just honest guys. So just, if you like what we got for you guys, you like the shows, you like the content, by all means, go down there and hit that subscribe button, and make sure you're hitting the bell for notifications. What you got, Chris?
Diggs over here. Show me a Democrat that you see in the gym, And when have they ever worked for anything?
Yeah,
Anyway,
Chris is cracking us up in the comments, man. But hey,
yeah.
guys, that's the show today. But you guys have a good one. Have a great weekend, Chris. Thank you once again for co-hosting the show with me. It's always a pleasure to have you on the channel. Can't wait for our next show, guys. Again, go down the description. Make sure you don't miss it. You got to click on the link for Chris's channel and subscribe so you can catch us in another couple of weeks. We'll have another show coming at you.
And
So otherwise, go
YouTube
ahead.
has blessed us with the community feed. So keep an eye out for our posts. We're allowed to make posts now, guys. We can share
Yeah.
photos with you guys. You guys can come in and leave comments, and we can talk. So if something comes up and we can't make a show, we will make a post and we will let you
We'll
know.
make a post. Absolutely, every time. No, that's excellent. I'm glad you brought that up. That's a cool feature that we didn't have access to before. We do now, and we will be utilizing it. So we're going to keep in touch, guys. Thank you guys very much. Y'all have a great weekend, and we will catch you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, guys. See y'all later.
Thanks a lot.